My marriage is so modern, even our arguments get sponsored content. That's what I was thinking when Isla walked into our kitchen that Tuesday evening, her phone buzzing with notifications like a slot machine hitting jackpot. She had that look, the one that meant she was about to drop something on me that would make my life infinitely more complicated. "Dean, honey," she said, not looking up from her screen, "I have some exciting news." I paused the video I was editing, a corporate training film about workplace harassment, which felt ironically appropriate given what was about to unfold. Let me guess. Another influencer wants you to plan their authentic travel experience to somewhere they'll spend the entire time taking selfies? Isla rolled her eyes. She was 33, beautiful in that calculated way that comes from years of managing her image for social media. Her blonde hair was always perfectly styled, her makeup flawless even at 7 in the morning. As a travel PR manager, she lived in a world where appearances were everything. No, smartass. Something much better. She finally looked at me, her green eyes sparkling with excitement. "Jasper invited me to the Maldives. His company just landed this massive resort partnership, and he needs someone with my expertise to help with the launch." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Jasper Trenix, her ex-boyfriend from college, the golden boy who'd started 3 successful tech companies before his 40th birthday, the guy she dated for 2 years before we met, and who somehow managed to pop up in our lives with suspicious frequency. "Jasper," I repeated, keeping my voice neutral. "Your ex-boyfriend, Jasper." "Oh, don't get jealous," she said with a laugh that sounded just a little too forced. "It's purely professional. Besides, he's married now. You remember Ilara, right? The interior designer? We all had dinner together last year." I did remember Ilara. Sharp, intelligent, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to see everything. She'd been polite but distant that night, and I'd gotten the impression she wasn't particularly fond of my wife. "When?" I asked. "I leave tomorrow night. I know it's short notice, but you know how these opportunities are. Strike while the iron's hot and all that." The speed of it bothered me. Isla was impulsive, sure, but she usually ran these things by me first. We'd been married for 4 years, together for 6. I thought we'd moved past the stage where we made major decisions unilaterally. "For how long?" "Just a week, maybe 10 days if the project expands." She was already moving around the kitchen, pulling things from the refrigerator. "I'll make us some dinner and then I need to pack. This could be huge for my career, Dean. Jasper's company has connections everywhere." I watched her bustling around, her movements quick and excited. Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on what exactly. Maybe it was the way she wouldn't quite meet my eyes, or how she'd already made the decision without discussing it with me first. "Should I pack your SPF 50 or a lie detector?" I asked. She shot me a look. "Very funny. You know, most husbands would be supportive of their wives' career opportunities. Most wives would discuss international trips with their husbands before booking them. I'm discussing it now. No, you're informing me. There's a difference." The argument that followed was familiar territory, her accusing me of being unsupportive, me pointing out that partnership meant communication. She won, of course, she always did. By the end of the night, I was helping her pack, listening to her chatter excitedly about resort marketing and brand partnerships. But something nagged at me as I watched her fold her most expensive bikinis into her suitcase. When had she bought that black lace one, and why was she packing lingerie for a business trip? The next evening, she was gone. The house felt different without her constant phone calls and social media updates. Quieter, but also somehow more tense, like the calm before a storm. I tried to focus on work. I had 3 projects due that week: a wedding video, a promotional piece for a local restaurant, and the harassment training film that was turning into a bigger production than I'd anticipated. But my mind kept wandering to Isla, somewhere over the Pacific Ocean, flying toward paradise with her ex-boyfriend. On Thursday, 2 days after she'd left, I was editing footage when my phone buzzed with a notification. Isla had posted something on Instagram. I opened the app, expecting to see the usual perfectly curated travel shots. What I saw made me freeze. It was a photo of a pristine beach, crystal blue water stretching to the horizon. But it wasn't the scenery that caught my attention. It was the reflection in her sunglasses, visible in the corner of the frame. A man's hand resting on her thigh. The caption read, "Paradise Found." Sometimes the best opportunities come from unexpected places. Blessed Birch Maldives, new beginnings. I stared at the photo for a long time, zooming in on that reflection. The hand was wearing a watch I recognized, a vintage Rolex that Jasper had worn to our dinner last year. He'd made a point of mentioning it was a gift from his first successful startup sale. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through the comments. Her friends were posting heart emojis and "so jealous" messages. Her best friend Sienna had written, "Get it, girl, you deserve this happiness." Happiness. Not success, not opportunity. Happiness. I set my phone down and walked to the kitchen, needing something to do with my hands. As I was making coffee, I remembered something that made my stomach drop even further. Isla had set up automatic photo backup to our shared cloud storage. She was always forgetting to manually save her pictures, so I'd helped her configure it months ago. With trembling fingers, I opened the cloud storage app on my laptop. There, in a folder marked Maldives Trip, were dozens of photos that hadn't made it to her Instagram. Photos of her and Jasper at dinner, his arm around her waist. Photos of them on a boat, her head on his shoulder. Photos of them in what was clearly a hotel room, and she definitely wasn't wearing the conservative business attire she'd packed. The final photo in the folder was time-stamped just an hour ago. It showed 2 wine glasses on a table overlooking the ocean, and in the background, partially visible, was a bed with rumpled sheets. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark kitchen for a long time, processing what I'd discovered. My wife of 4 years was having an affair with her ex-boyfriend in one of the most expensive resort destinations in the world, and from the looks of her social media, she wasn't being particularly subtle about it. The rational part of my brain said I should confront her directly, call her, demand an explanation, maybe even fly out there and catch them in the act. But another part of me, the part that had spent years watching Isla manipulate situations to her advantage, wanted to be smarter about this. I thought about Alara, Jasper's wife. Did she know? Was she sitting at home like I was, wondering why her husband was suddenly taking so many business calls behind closed doors? Before I could talk myself out of it, I found her number in my phone from when we'd all exchanged contacts at that dinner last year. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for several minutes before I finally typed, "Hi, Alara. This is Dean, Isla's husband. I hope you don't mind me reaching out, but I think we need to talk. It's about our spouses and their trip to the Maldives." I sent the message and immediately regretted it. What if I was wrong? What if there was an innocent explanation for everything I'd seen? My phone buzzed 30 seconds later. "I was wondering when you'd figure it out. I've been waiting for someone to make the first move. Do we wait for them to come clean, or do we have some fun of our own?" I stared at her message, my heart pounding. She knew. She'd known all along. I typed back, "Wait, not a chance." Her response came immediately. "Good. We need to meet. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Grind Coffee on 5th Street. Come alone, and Dean, bring your laptop. I have a feeling you've seen some interesting photos." I spent the rest of the night staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with possibilities. By morning, I'd made a decision that would change everything. If Isla wanted to play games, I was going to make sure I won. Grind Coffee on 5th Street was the kind of place where freelancers went to look busy while actually scrolling social media. I arrived 15 minutes early, ordered a black coffee, and found a corner table where I could watch the door. My laptop bag felt heavy on my shoulder, loaded with evidence I'd never wanted to collect. Ilara walked in exactly at 2 p.m. I'd forgotten how striking she was. Tall, elegant, with the kind of confidence that comes from running your own successful business. She wore a black blazer and jeans, her dark hair pulled back in a way that made her look like she was heading to a board meeting instead of planning revenge against our cheating spouses. She spotted me immediately and walked over, her heels clicking on the concrete floor. "Dean," she said, extending her hand. "Thank you for reaching out. I was starting to think I was going crazy." "How long have you known?" I asked as she sat down. "About Jasper and Isla specifically? 2 weeks? About Jasper's cheating in general? Try 2 years?" She signaled the barista for a coffee. He's not as clever as he thinks he is. Late-night investor calls to the Maldives, mysterious expenses on the company card, and a suddenly renewed interest in travel PR. I opened my laptop and turned it toward her. I found these in our shared cloud storage. Ilara scrolled through the photos, her expression never changing. When she reached the one with the rumpled bed, she actually smiled. "Well, that's certainly not subtle. Jasper always did lack imagination." "You seem remarkably calm about this." "Oh, I'm furious," she said, accepting her latte from the barista. "But I learned a long time ago that anger is more useful when it's focused. Tell me, what do you know about Isla's job?" "She's a travel PR manager for Meridian Communications." "Why?" "And what's Meridian's policy on employees accepting gifts or comped trips from potential clients?" I thought about it. "I'm not sure. Probably against company policy, right?" "Very much so. I did some research last night." Ilara pulled out her phone and showed me a screenshot. Meridian has a strict ethics policy. Any gift over $50 has to be reported. Any trip has to be pre-approved by management and documented as a business expense. The pieces started clicking together. "You think this trip wasn't approved?" "I know it wasn't. I called Meridian yesterday, pretending to be a journalist writing a piece about luxury travel PR. Spoke to Isla's boss, Sorel Martinez. Very chatty woman. She had no idea Isla was in the Maldives. I stared at her. "You called her boss?" "Research, Dean. You can't win a war without intelligence." Ilara leaned forward. "Here's what I know. Jasper's company, Trenix Tech, is paying for everything. The flights, the resort, the activities. It's all going through his corporate account as a marketing consultation. But there's no contract, no deliverables, no actual business justification. So it's essentially a vacation funded by his company. A vacation with his mistress, funded by his company, while lying to both of our faces." Ilara's voice remained steady, but I could see the anger in her eyes. "The question is, what do we do about it?" I thought about the photos on my laptop, about Isla's excited packing, about the lies she'd told so easily. "What did you have in mind?" "Well, we could confront them directly. Have a big dramatic scene when they get back. Cry, yell, throw things. Very cathartic, but ultimately pointless. Or we could be strategic. Hit them where it actually hurts." She pulled out a tablet and showed me a document. "I've been busy since your text last night. This is a summary of Jasper's business practices over the past 2 years. The Maldives trip isn't his first questionable expense. There's a pattern here." I scrolled through her notes. Expensive dinners with potential clients who turned out to be women he'd met on dating apps. Weekend trips to wine country for team building that only included him and various female employees. A concerning number of spa treatments and luxury hotel stays that couldn't be justified as business expenses. "You've been documenting all of this?" "I'm an interior designer, Dean. I'm detail-oriented by nature, and I've been planning my exit strategy for a while now." She took a sip of her latte. "The thing is, I could divorce Jasper and probably get half of everything in the settlement, but half of everything includes half of his debts, half of his business problems, and half of the mess he's made of his reputation. So, what's the alternative?" "We make sure there's nothing left to split." The coldness in her voice sent a chill down my spine. This wasn't just about revenge. This was about complete destruction. I need to think about this, I said. Of course. But while you're thinking, consider this. They're coming back in 5 days. Isla will walk through your door with a tan and a smile, probably with some story about how successful the trip was. She'll kiss you hello and tell you she missed you, and then she'll go back to planning her next business opportunity with Jasper. I closed my laptop, the weight of the decision pressing down on me. What exactly are you proposing? I'm proposing we give them exactly what they deserve. Complete and total social, professional, and financial ruin. But I can't do it alone. She reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. This is Ravi Patel. He works in IT for a company I've done projects with. Very discreet, very good at finding information that people think they've hidden. I'm not looking to do anything illegal. Neither am I. But there's a lot you can accomplish within legal boundaries if you're creative. She stood up. Think about it, Dean. But don't think too long. The best revenge is served while it's still fresh. After she left, I sat in the coffee shop for another hour, staring at Ravi's business card. My phone buzzed with a text from Isla. Having an amazing time. The resort is incredible. Miss you. I looked at the timestamp. She'd sent it at 3:47 a.m. her time. Who sends their husband a text at 3:47 a.m. unless they're feeling guilty about something? I called Ravi's number. Ravi Patel. Hi, this is Dean Calix. Alara Trenix gave me your card. Ah, yes, she mentioned you might call. What can I help you with? I need to understand what my wife has been doing online. Social media, email, cloud storage. All legal, all above board. Of course. Can you meet tomorrow morning? I have some tools that might interest you. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those photos of Isla and Jasper, their casual intimacy, the way she'd lied to my face. By morning, I'd made my decision. If Isla wanted to play games, I was going to make sure I won. But I wasn't going to play fair. Ravi's office was in a converted warehouse in the Arts District, the kind of place where tech startups went to look edgy while burning through venture capital. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 28, with the casual confidence of someone who'd grown up with the internet. Alara filled me in on the basics, he said, gesturing for me to sit at his desk. Cheating spouse, business ethics violations, need for documentation. Very straightforward. I want to be clear. I'm not asking you to hack anything. I just need help understanding what's already accessible. Understood. Let's start with social media analysis. He pulled up a program I'd never seen before. Give me your wife's Instagram handle. I watched as he entered Isla's information. Within seconds, the screen filled with data, posting patterns, location tags, interaction analysis, even deleted posts that had been cached by various services. Interesting, Ravi murmured, scrolling through the results. She's been much more active in the past month. Lots of direct messages with accounts that have privacy settings enabled. And look at this. He pointed to a graph showing her posting times. See this pattern? For the past 3 weeks, she's been posting at odd hours. Middle of the night, early morning. That suggests she's either having trouble sleeping or she's coordinating with someone in a different time zone. The Maldives are 12 hours ahead of us. Exactly. Now let's look at her location data. Another screen popped up, showing a map with various pins. Social media platforms track location even when users think they've disabled it. Your wife has been tagged in several locations that don't match her stated schedule. He zoomed in on a cluster of pins from 2 weeks ago. She told you she was at a client meeting downtown, right? According to this, she spent 3 hours at the Fairmont Hotel, specifically in the area of the executive suites. My stomach clenched. Can you tell who else was there? Not directly, but cross-referencing with other social media check-ins. He typed rapidly. Jasper Trenix checked into the Fairmont Hotel bar that same afternoon, posted a photo of a cocktail with the caption, "Closing deals." The evidence was overwhelming. but I needed more than social media posts to destroy them completely. What about business records? That's where things get interesting. Isla gave me permission to access some of Jasper's company information. She's listed as an authorized user on several accounts. Trenix Tech has been very generous with its expense account lately. He pulled up a spreadsheet that made my jaw drop. Jasper had spent over $40,000 in the past 2 months on marketing consultations and client entertainment. The Maldives trip alone was costing his company $15,000. This is insane, I muttered. How is he justifying this to his investors? He's not. At least, not accurately. Ravi highlighted several entries. Look at these descriptions. Strategic planning retreat, brand development consultation, market research expedition. Very vague, very hard to verify. But not illegal? Not illegal, but definitely unethical. And if his investors knew what he was really spending money on... Ravi shrugged. Let's just say they might have some questions. We spent the next 2 hours building a comprehensive file. Social media posts, expense reports, location data, email metadata. By the end, we had a timeline that clearly showed the development of Isla and Jasper's affair, complete with documentation of every lie they'd told. This is enough to destroy both of their careers, I said, staring at the evidence. Careers, reputations, marriages, Ravi agreed. The question is, how do you want to deploy it? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Isla. Dean, we have a problem. Jasper just posted something on LinkedIn that suggests he's planning to make this relationship public. What do you mean? Check his profile. He's talking about new partnerships and exciting collaborations. There's a photo of him and Isla at some business dinner, and the caption mentions exploring opportunities with innovative PR professionals. I looked at Ravi's screen as he pulled up Jasper's LinkedIn. There it was, a professional-looking photo of Jasper and my wife, both smiling at the camera. She was wearing the black dress she'd bought for our anniversary last year. The caption read, "Excited to announce a new partnership with travel PR expert Isla Corvin. Sometimes the best business relationships grow from personal connections. Looking forward to building something amazing together." New ventures. Partnership. Maldives. He's positioning their affair as a business relationship, I said, my voice tight with anger. Smart, Ravi admitted. If anyone questions the expenses or the time they're spending together, he can point to this post as evidence of legitimate business collaboration. But I was seeing something else. An opportunity. Ravi, can you trace the engagement on this post? Who's liking it, commenting, sharing? His fingers flew over the keyboard. Lots of activity. His business partners, investors, Isla's colleagues. Oh, this is interesting. Her boss at Meridian Communications liked the post. The same boss who told Isla she didn't know about the Maldives trip? The very same. Ravi grinned. I think we just found our opening. I called Isla back. Change of plans. We're not waiting for them to come home. What do you mean? I mean, we're going to give them exactly what they're asking for. If they want to make their relationship public, let's help them do it properly. That evening, Ravi and I worked until midnight, crafting what he called a digital masterpiece. We created a comprehensive presentation that told the complete story of Isla and Jasper's affair, complete with photos, expense reports, timeline, and social media evidence. But we didn't stop there. We also included information about Trenix Tech's questionable business practices, Meridian Communications ethics policies, and a detailed analysis of how much money had been spent on what was essentially an extramarital affair funded by corporate accounts. This is nuclear, Ravi said, reviewing our work. Once this gets out, neither of them will be able to work in their industries again. Good, I said. They made their choice. Now they get to live with the consequences. The next morning, I sent the presentation to 3 people: Sorel Martinez, Isla's boss at Meridian Communications, David Chen, the lead investor in Tech, and Marcus Webb, a business journalist who specialized in corporate ethics scandals. Then I sat back and waited for the fireworks to begin. The first explosion came at 9:47 a.m., 3 days before Isla was scheduled to return. My phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. "Is this Dean Calix?" "Yes." "This is Sorel Martinez from Meridian Communications. I believe you sent me some information about one of my employees?" I'd been preparing for this call since I hit send on that email. "Yes, I did. I thought you should know what Isla has been doing with company resources." "Mr. Calix, I need to be very clear about something. The information you've provided, if accurate, represents serious violations of our company policy. I'm going to need to verify everything before I can take action." "I understand. Everything I sent you is documented and verifiable. I've already started the verification process. Mr. Calix, are you planning to divorce your wife?" The question caught me off guard. I haven't decided yet. "Well, you might want to make that decision quickly. If what you've shown me is true, Isla is going to be terminated immediately upon her return. And given the nature of the violations, I doubt she'll be able to find work in PR again." After she hung up, I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and guilt. This was really happening. There was no going back now. The second call came an hour later. Ilara. "Dean, you magnificent bastard! What did you do?" "I sent our evidence to the right people." "Why?" "Jasper's been on the phone for the past hour with his investors. Apparently someone sent them a very detailed analysis of his spending patterns. He's trying to do damage control, but it's not going well." "How do you know?" "Because I'm sitting in our kitchen, listening to him panic in his office. He keeps saying things like, 'It's not what it looks like,' and 'We can explain everything.' Oh, and Dean, he just booked a flight home. Today." "What about Isla?" "That's the beautiful part. He's leaving her there. Apparently, his investors want to see him immediately, and bringing his mistress to a business meeting wouldn't be the best look." I felt a savage satisfaction at the image of Isla stranded in paradise, probably wondering why her lover had suddenly abandoned her. My phone buzzed with a text from Isla. "Jasper had to leave early for business. I'm staying a few more days to finish the project. Missing you." Even now, even caught in her lies, she was still lying. The third call came that afternoon. Marcus Webb, the journalist. "Mr. Calix, I've reviewed the information you sent me. This is quite a story. Are you going to publish it?" "I'm going to investigate it. If everything checks out, yes. This fits into a larger pattern I've been tracking about startup executives using company funds for personal expenses. Can I quote you as a source?" "Anonymously." "Of course. One more question. Do you have any additional documentation, bank records, emails, anything that might strengthen the story?" I thought about Ilara's files, about the months of evidence she'd been collecting. "I might be able to get you more information." "Good. I'm planning to run this next week. That should give me time to verify everything and reach out to both parties for comment." After he hung up, I realized what I'd set in motion. This wasn't just going to destroy Isla and Jasper's careers. It was going to be a public spectacle. Their affair would be documented in a business publication, complete with photos and financial records. Part of me felt bad about that. But then I remembered the photos in our shared cloud storage, the casual way Isla had lied to me, the months of planning that had gone into their betrayal. They'd made their choices. Now they got to live with the consequences. That evening, Ilara called with an update. "Jasper's home. He's been locked in his office for hours, making phone calls and sending emails. I think he's trying to contain the damage, but it might be too late." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to file for divorce tomorrow morning. My lawyer says I should move quickly, before Jasper has a chance to hide assets or transfer money." "Ilara, are you sure about this? Once we cross this line, there's no going back." "Dean, I've been married to Jasper for 8 years. I've watched him lie to investors, cheat on his taxes, and manipulate everyone around him. The only thing I regret is not doing this sooner. Her certainty was both inspiring and terrifying. What do you need from me? Just be ready. When Isla comes home, she's going to be angry. She's going to blame you for everything that's happened. Don't let her manipulate you into feeling guilty. I won't. But as I hung up the phone, I wondered if that was true. Isla had always been good at making me feel like the bad guy in our arguments. Would I be strong enough to resist when she turned those skills on me? I didn't have to wait long to find out. At 11 p.m., my phone rang with an international number. Dean, thank God. Something terrible is happening. Isla's voice was shaky, panicked. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. What's wrong? I don't know. Jasper left this morning, said there was an emergency with his company, and now, Dean, I just got an email from Sorrel. She's asking me to call her immediately about policy violations. What does that mean? I took a deep breath. It means someone found out about your trip, Isla. What do you mean? This is a legitimate business trip. I'm working with Jasper's company on a marketing campaign. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're having an affair with your ex-boyfriend on his company's dime. The silence on the other end of the line stretched for nearly 30 seconds. Dean, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain the photos in our shared cloud storage? The ones where Jasper's hand is on your thigh? The ones taken in your hotel room? You went through my private photos? They weren't private, Isla. You uploaded them to our shared account. I saw everything. It's not what it looks like. It looks like my wife is cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend in the Maldives. What else could it possibly look like? I heard her crying on the other end of the line, and for a moment, my resolve wavered. But then I remembered the LinkedIn post, the casual way she'd announced her partnership with Jasper to the world. Dean, please, we can work this out. I'll come home tomorrow and we can talk about this. Actually, you might want to deal with your job situation first, because from what I understand, Meridian is not happy about their employees taking unauthorized trips funded by potential clients. How do you know about... Dean, what did you do? I did what you should have done weeks ago. I told the truth. I hung up the phone and turned it off. Tomorrow, Isla would be on a plane home, probably fired from her job, definitely facing the end of our marriage. Jasper would be dealing with angry investors and a divorce filing from Alara, and I would be free. For the first time in months, I slept peacefully. Isla came home on a Thursday afternoon, 3 days earlier than planned. I watched from the window as the taxi pulled up to our house, saw her struggling with her luggage, her movements sharp with anger. Her tan had faded during the long flight, and she looked exhausted. I didn't help her with the bags. She walked into the house like she was entering a war zone, her eyes scanning for threats. When she saw me sitting calmly at the kitchen table, laptop open, she seemed to deflate slightly. We need to talk, she said. Yes, we do. She sat down across from me, and I could see she'd been crying. Her makeup was smudged, her hair disheveled. This wasn't the polished, confident woman who'd left for the Maldives a week ago. I lost my job, she said without preamble. I know. They fired me over the phone, wouldn't even let me explain. 8 years with that company, and they fired me over the phone. What did you expect, Isla? You violated their ethics policy. You took an unauthorized trip funded by a client, lied about the nature of your relationship with him, and then posted about it on social media. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Her voice was small, defeated. It was just, things with us have been so difficult lately. And Jasper, he understood me in a way that you don't. So you decided to have an affair. It wasn't planned. It just happened. One conversation led to another, and suddenly we were talking every day. And then he offered me this opportunity, and I thought maybe it could be something real. Something real? Isla, the man is married. He has a wife who loves him, who trusted him. Just like you had a husband who loved you and trusted you. Had. I slid the divorce papers across the table. I filed yesterday morning. She stared at the documents like they might bite her. Dean, please. We can fix this. I made a mistake, but we can work through it. Can we? Can we work through the months of lying? The secret phone calls? The way you looked me in the eye and told me this was a business trip while you packed lingerie? I never meant to hurt you. But you did. You hurt me, you hurt Alara, you destroyed your career, and you helped Jasper destroy his company. All for what? A week in paradise with someone who abandoned you the moment things got complicated? She flinched at that. He didn't abandon me. He had a business emergency. He had investors threatening to pull their funding because someone sent them evidence of his questionable spending habits. He left you in the Maldives because bringing his mistress home would have made things worse. How do you know all this? Because I made it happen, Isla. I sent the evidence to his investors, to your boss, to a journalist who's writing a story about corporate ethics violations. I made sure everyone knew exactly what you two were doing. The color drained from her face. You destroyed us. No, you destroyed yourselves. I just made sure there were consequences. She was quiet for a long time, staring at the divorce papers. When she finally looked up, her expression had changed from hurt to angry. You vindictive bastard. You couldn't just confront me like a normal person. You had to ruin my entire life? I could ask you the same question. You couldn't just divorce me like a normal person? You had to humiliate me by having an affair with your ex-boyfriend? That's different. How is that different? Because I was trying to find happiness. You were just trying to hurt me. I was trying to find justice. There's a difference. She stood up abruptly, pacing to the window. What happens now? Now you find a lawyer and figure out how to rebuild your life. The house is mine. I can prove you committed adultery, which voids the infidelity clause in our prenup. Your 401k, your car, your personal belongings, those are yours. Everything else stays with me. And Jasper? Jasper's company is finished. His investors pulled out yesterday. Alara filed for divorce and froze all their joint assets, and Marcus Webb's article comes out tomorrow morning. Article? Business Journal. When startup funds fund startups, a case study in corporate ethics violations. It's going to detail everything, Isla. The expenses, the timeline, the affair, your names, your photos, everything. She sank back into her chair, the full weight of the situation finally hitting her. My career is over. Yes, it is. I'll never work in PR again. Probably not. And you're okay with this? You're okay with destroying me completely? I closed my laptop and looked at her, really looked at her, for what I knew would be the last time as her husband. Isla, you made a choice. You chose to betray our marriage, violate your professional ethics, and lie to everyone who trusted you. I didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourself. I just made sure everyone could see it. She was crying again, but this time I felt nothing. No sympathy, no regret, no desire to comfort her. She'd used up all of my compassion with her lies. I need you to leave, I said quietly. This is my house too. Not anymore. Check the divorce papers. I'm citing adultery, which triggers the morality clause in our prenup. The house reverts to me immediately. I have nowhere to go. You should have thought of that before you went to the Maldives. She gathered up the divorce papers and her purse, moving slowly like an old woman. At the door, she turned back. I did love you, you know. Once. I know. I loved you too. But love isn't enough when there's no trust, no respect, no honesty. What if I could change? What if I could be better? It's too late for that, Isla. Some things can't be fixed. After she left, I sat in the quiet house for a long time. My phone buzzed with a text from Alara. How did it go? I typed back, "It's over." Good. Jasper moved out this morning. I think we both made the right choice. No regrets? None. You? I thought about it honestly. Did I regret destroying Isla's career? Did I regret the public humiliation she was about to face? Did I regret the complete and total devastation I'd brought down on both of them? No regrets, I typed back. The next morning, Marcus Webb's article went live. By noon, it had been shared thousands of times on social media. The photos of Isla and Jasper in the Maldives were everywhere, along with detailed breakdowns of Trenixtech's questionable expenses and Meridian Communications' response to the ethics violations. My phone rang constantly, reporters wanting quotes, friends wanting gossip, family members wanting to know if I was okay. I ignored most of the calls, but I did answer when Mason, my best friend, called. Jesus, Dean. I just saw the article. Are you all right? I'm fine. This is insane. The whole story is everywhere. Isla must be mortified. She made her choice. Still, this level of public humiliation, it's pretty brutal. So was finding out my wife was cheating on me through accidentally synced photos. Fair point. What happens now? Now I move on. I've got work to focus on, a house to myself, and for the first time in years, I don't have to wonder if my wife is lying to me. That's gotta feel good. It did feel good. It felt like freedom. That evening, I got a final text from Isla. I hope you're happy. You got your revenge. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. This wasn't about revenge, Isla. This was about consequences. There's a difference. She didn't reply. A week later, I was editing a wedding video when my doorbell rang. It was Alara, holding a bottle of wine and smiling. I thought we should celebrate, she said. Celebrate what? Our divorces were finalized this morning. We're officially free. We sat on my back deck, drinking wine and watching the sunset. It was peaceful in a way I'd forgotten was possible. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd handled this differently? She asked. You mean if we'd just confronted them directly? Yeah. If we'd given them a chance to explain, to make amends. I thought about it. They would have lied, made excuses, promised to change. And then they would have been more careful about hiding it next time. You're probably right. Besides, they had their chance to be honest. They chose deception instead. We just chose consequences. To consequences, she said, raising her glass. To consequences, I agreed. As the sun set behind the mountains, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. Isla and Jasper had gotten exactly what they deserved. Their careers were destroyed, their reputations ruined, their marriage over. They would spend years rebuilding their lives, if they could rebuild them at all. And I would spend those same years free from lies, free from betrayal, free from wondering if the person I loved was deceiving me. It wasn't revenge, it was justice, and it was perfect.